We are here because we brought a wonderful partnership between the UK and Colombia to work on biodiversity characterization, preservation and management through a responsible process of innovation. We are here to bring a lot of training and to raise the visibility of how important it is to work on preserving biodiversity, but also to do it so in a responsible way by bringing innovation and by making sure that we power the economy of the country and the social welfare of the country at the same time. And we are here today to give one of these trainings, and this is a scientist-journalist training. Why? Because we have recognized, and many of our partners here in Colombia as well have recognized that it's extremely important to talk, when we talk about Colombian biodiversity, to also talk about the good science that gets done here, about the incredible expertise that you have here on the ground in your various academic institutions. We have scientists that work on a number of different projects, from natural diversity to agricultural diversity to socioeconomics, both from the UK and from Colombia. They are here today. They are here talking and representing their projects and what they do. Here we also have communicators from many institutions in Colombia and in the UK who want to understand what the scientists are doing. And we have many of the journalists that write for very important journals and magazines and media outlet, and they are curious. They are curious to understand what is the context right now, what is the biodiversity context, what is the Colombian context, what is the international context, and how does this work fit in? And we're trying to help them and train them to understand how to interact with science and how to get the best out of science, so that it can be talked about, it can be communicated, and it can have an impact on the public, on people that perhaps are not so good at understanding the technical terms of science. We recently had the first results from the assessment of the global assessment of biodiversity from the IPBES. We are losing biodiversity at an unprecedented pace. The world is dying and our future is in our hands, and it's in the hands of everybody. But most importantly, it's in the hands of countries that are mega diverse, countries like Colombia. For me, particularly, it's also important because the program is not just a scientific program. We have conceived this program of looking about diversity with our major partners here in Colombia and in the UK in a very holistic way. So we interpret biodiversity to be not just a scientific problem, to be a development problem, to be an economic problem, to be a social problem, to be a security problem, and an equitable problem, and a cultural problem. And when you consider all of this together, the connection to the decision-making process in the country, it's immediate, and that's why I think we are useful, because we are looking at this from a complex context, and we are trying to produce impact on decision making, essentially, and on current policies. For instance, access to genetic resources. This is something that we will talk about. This is something that we will bring stakeholders together to talk about this, because access to genetic resources is what in the end and ultimately will power the bioeconomy of Colombia.